at a quick glance, you can already tell that this relationship has come from the reason why you guys are connecting so well, or you guys connect so well, is because you guys both have this I need to make sure I'm protected energy. You like that realness, that raw energy. Because I feel like with the Five of Wands, right, it does get raw, it does get real, and it can get a little aggressive, but that sort of aggression can be attractive because that shows that this person is taking care of themselves, they're putting themselves first. And both of you guys were putting yourselves first when y'all met. You guys were not really thinking about other people, not to be rude or inconsiderate, because there's nothing wrong with that, but you guys were definitely looking at what can you get out of the situation, what do you need, right? So the Five of Swords could also talk about you guys fighting for things. Fighting for the relationship was definitely one of those, probably one of those things. And there was not a lot of compromise, I'm feeling, because right now the challenge is the Page of Cups, being compassionate, expressing your hearts with one another, being emotionally open. And then I think that's one of the things, right? Having emotional depth. And I think that's, a lot of you Sagittarians, you guys are really sweet and kind on the outside, but y'all have depth. Your 12th house is Scorpio. So all your fears is really, really, deep and dark. It can be. So letting anybody in truly into that plane is very difficult. But I feel like with get to know each other and romantic feelings, there may be time to segue and slide up in them DMs or slide up in that 12th house. But anywho, we're going to start with this person here. Feel free to pick the side that resonates with y'all the most. But the High Priestess on this person's side is definitely telling me that this person's got some secrets. Not secrets that, that indicate that there's some sort of an unfaithfulness or things like that. But this person is quite reserved. Now, this person's also showing quite heavy feminine energy, because that's what the High Priestess is. She's quite feminine. And not like she could be a male, right? It doesn't really matter. It's all about being passive and receiving messages and connecting to the spirit, but honestly, listening to the higher self, right? Listening to, the guidance systems around her. But she's also the keeper of secrets. She's also, very, she knows everything. She knows a lot of things. Right? And one thing is true is that she knows everything that she needs to know about herself. Or she thinks she does, right? And the High Priestess, she usually does. But I feel like with this person here, there's an assumption, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of secrets, of things that are blocked here when the High Priestess comes up. Even though it's all about flow and letting things be, I think there is a bit of blockage here when it comes to this person, and it's because that not only are they in the dark with the other person, they don't reach out usually because the High Priestess doesn't really extend herself. But there's also, they're the keeping secrets. They're keeping something within. They're keeping something out, like from communicating. Now they're showing temperance here, which is not a bad thing, but it shows that this person is taking everything in moderation. What does that mean? Taking everything in little samples. They're they're taking a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. They're doing the best that they can with, not overindulging in any area. So they're not trying to overindulge at work. They're not trying to overindulge with relationships. They're not trying to overindulge with money. So they're trying to keep things in a beautiful, harmonious fashion, and that's how they're presenting themselves. That's how people see them. That's how you see them, or this is how you present yourself if this is you. But this person's trying to keep a harmony. This person's looking like they're trying to keep it, but this person honestly is having to trust their intuition. They're not quite sure of the other side just as much as they're not opening up about themselves. They've got a little barricade at this moment. And usually I don't see the high priestess as a barricade, but when she's a keeper of secrets, right? She's a vault. She ain't gonna let anybody else in if she don't feel it. Now the other person looks like they're kind of like an open book, but I feel the same way. The King of Swords, you can know everything about him from the surface when he communicates with you, when he talks to you. But he ain't gonna tell you or reveal everything about himself unless he deems it necessary and if he deems it worthy. But this person is a conversationalist. This person is very good at communication, really good with words. And this person also is very clear on who they are. Now, I think this, like I said, I don't know if this person truly knows who they are to the T. They know a lot of things. They know something, but they don't necessarily give me the vibe that they are aware of some things because of the Nine of Swords that's there. But with this person, though, they definitely are aware of who they are, their strengths, their weaknesses. They know how they feel. They're very true to their being. They're very true to their experiences, and they're very true to the people around them regarding who they are, right? But they're showing up with the Seven of Pentacles, right? So they look frustrated. They look like they're not quite in it 100%. And I know it kind of, it can give that vibe that way with the Seven of Pentacles there, because the Seven of Pentacles is a reevaluation card. This person's looking at the stuff, putting in the work, yes, but they're looking at it and trying to assess, okay, where is my, what am I getting out of this? Is this something? Is this situation worth me continuing to put effort and time into? Because they know what they want, they know what they're, who they are. But since the Lovers is the underlying energy, which we have to look at the heart, right? And there's two, the mind and the heart. The real challenge here is figuring out what everyone's feeling, how everyone feels about the relationship, or what they want, right? What is their heart's desire? And I feel like obviously with the Lovers coming up, there is definitely a connection between you and this person. However, we all have that inner turmoil where our mind's always trying to convince our hearts that what we feel may not be real. And that's why romantic feelings is coming up. Your feelings are real and worth exploring. And the Lovers, the mind part, will try to overthink it, will try to do it with the mind stuff. And now, it'll be harder to accept what you love, because part of you is always going to be skeptical. Is this real? Is this actually happening? Or like this person here with the Nine of Swords, come up with doubts, and then, have anxieties, and not really be able to see the situation as it is, because their mind is running rampant. Now, I think this person is trying to figure out whether or not it's worth it or not, but at the same time, I don't think that they're not open to the idea. The Queen of High Priestess, she's open to things too, just as much as the King of Swords is open to it. And I know she said that she was like, she had a barricade, and it's not really a barricade. When I said that, I really meant like there's some secrets that she has that she keeps to herself. But she is open to messages. She is aware of her emotions. She does allow her emotions to flow. She is able to get guidance. She's the receiver, right? She's definitely a receiver. That's why she's the keeper of secrets. All the information comes to her. Now, how it goes out is a different story, but she gets it all. She gets it all. So she ain't really a barricade like the Nine of Wands. She's more of like, she's a vault. Usually when things go in, they stay in. They don't come out. But anyway, this person's sort of the same way though. Like, they are aware of who they are. They're aware of their strengths. The first person could be an air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and because we got Gemini here too, but I had Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo. But this person here is trying to figure out whether or not this is something that they want to continue putting work in. At the same time, they could be figuring out whether or not, they could be figuring out rather what else they need to be putting into the relationship. What work needs to be put into growing it further, to expanding the horizons, or to build on the already successful venture, which is the 7. Like, let's be honest, when you get up to that 7, it took a long time to get there. Pentacles is very slow energy, so 7 really talks about you having put a lot of work and effort towards this relationship, towards whatever this project is, right? Depending on the reading. So this person has definitely put in a lot of time, a lot of work into it, but they're second guessing. They're still trying to think things through, and I feel like where it's very obvious is that nobody's looking at how they feel. Nobody's looking at, well, what could happen, how far I've actually come, and why I'm not where I would love to be. And that's where the Page of Cups comes in, where everyone's going to have to figure out what they want to feel and start having conversations and communicating with each other about where each other's goals may be, what everybody's fears may be, what everybody's anxieties may be, right? And what everybody's, concerns are when it comes to building a stable connection. Because if you look down in the spiritual plane, all this is coming up because this person is stressed out, is worried, is uncertain, right? And this uncertainty is not anything to do with what what they are encountering or experiencing at this moment, because this is peace and zen here. This is peaceful. their whole environment is peaceful, but they're stressing out in their mind because, of course, they're not opening up in the sense of communicating their secrets, talking about things, getting to, to a depth portion. Of course, that stress could be due to the fact that they may not trust the other person. They may not trust people, period, which is why we have the Five of Swords there, the lack of trust of others, and that can make sense. But at the same time, if this is something that's going to develop into a beautiful relationship, right? One that can honestly maybe eventually, move on to, becoming, creators of the next generation, there has to be an understanding and a level of trust from both parties. And I think that that's where this code thing kind of comes in. The Page of Cups is trust, is, yes, opening doors to a new opportunity, communicating from the heart, cultivating a heart's desire, a small something, right? Small dream. But it starts by communicating that and sharing it with each other, because, and honestly, being open about how you two feel about it, one another, but also being open about how you feel about the other person for yourself, and being honest with yourself about how you feel. Because I think this person's very true to how they feel, but they just don't know if it's worth the effort going forth, because they realize all the hurdles, all the jumps and things that they have to continue to go through. There's still a lot of work ahead, but they have to make that decision. Is it continuous? Is this worth it? Is my love, is what I want from this person, or what I want from myself anyway, something I can fight for? Because really, when the Page of Cups comes up in the Seven of Pentacles, it's not whether or not I want to be with this person because I love them, or if it's worth it because we have a lot of problems, whatever. It's not about that, really. It's about, is this worth me taking the risk and continue to invest myself into a relationship to go after what I want? Because this person is obviously, each other, it seems like at least in my opinion, from this person, it's very clear that they want the other person. It's about, is their dream worth pursuing or not? You know what I mean? But this other person, they have things about themselves. I think they're nervous about communicating, so they're trying to keep things light, keep things fluffy, kind of keep things in a peaceful state. But there's truly no harmony, because there's some things that are bugging them. And honestly, I think they just need to honestly be honest with themselves about how they really feel about being in a relationship, about being with this person, or about things that, about whatever, right? They just don't have to feel like they have to cover themselves up. But with this person here, with the World coming up, as to why this person is reevaluating their situation, but also is very secure in, who they are, very serious about, moving forward with this relationship, is because they've completed a cycle. They've wrapped something up, they've closed the door, and they're really trying to figure out, is this the next step towards my happiness? Am I going to go ahead and make that, am I going to go ahead and continue to dedicate myself and continue to build off of that? And that's a hard one, right? But if there's ever any doubts, any sort of, uncertainty, whatever, it starts by kind of I feel like the answer is through talking to each other about each other's heart's desires, and really trying to get to know each other. Because I think if you guys spend time together and really get to know each other, it would help to figure out if this love that you have is something worth still maintaining, still trying to build a healthy balance of. Damn, that's a beautiful card right there, guys. Y'all have I love you. These are very important words. And I think sometimes we may get caught up in the struggle of trying to maintain a relationship, and we just forget that what the real reason as to why you guys got together in the first place, which was the connection, which was the love that you felt for each other, that profound, feeling of love that you have, not just for yourself, but that you have for the other person. You know what I mean? So, I love you guys, and those are words I think definitely need to be said a lot more, especially if someone's having a lot more doubts and keeping things to themselves because they're not quite sure if everything's going to be the way they are any longer. There's that anxiety, and if someone's having doubts whether or not they, this is something they can continue to put work and effort into if they haven't really started to see the results of their work in the way that they want to see them. But they have to be, of course, remember, you started out with this because of love. Well, you started out because you guys definitely seen that you guys wanted something for yourselves. But is there real love that's connecting you guys? Or are you guys just trying to get something out of each other? Are you guys just trying to look for something out of each other? Is someone just trying to remain peaceful? Or is someone that's just trying to, to continue to purge and explore themselves? But I love you is a very important word, or the most important words, because love is unconditional. It has no attachments. It has no desires to it. It's literally a feeling. And I think sometimes it's a good reminder to have, it's a good thing to say them sometimes, to remind not just the other person, but yourself, that this relationship is founded off of, and it can be, can be founded, or can be blossomed or purged or prosperous because of love. And only love.